Hello, beautiful souls. Elena here. I had a really deep awakening experience recently, and I want to share a really big realization and three other realizations that came out of that with you. And in order to do that, I'm going to give you a bit of context. So, when I started my meditation journey, um, I was already on a journey of wanting to feel better. I was super uncomfortable, like angry, unhappy, felt insane, really didn't understand what was going on. And when I moved to Thailand and really started seeing what meditation can do for people, I thought, okay, that's going to help. And of course, in a very deeply Buddhist country, was introduced to the idea of enlightenment quite early. And that seemed great. I thought what would happen is that, you know, the human part would mesh with source, and the human part would be completely healed, totally happy. I'd feel better. I'd think better. Blissed out. Everything would be great. And so that was my goal for the first, I don't know, many years, 5, 10 years of my meditation practice, was enlightenment. And at some point I realized, wow, okay, I'm definitely evolving the human self. Like the human self is starting to feel better. I'm feeling less insane. So this part's working. However, I'm not actually achieving enlightenment. I'm not feeling any closer to source. I'm not being any more conscious of myself as source. So it actually became demotivational, enlightenment, the idea of enlightenment. So I just let that go. And I continued down the path of meditation and awareness and consciousness of self and improvement and evolution of the human, which was great. Um, Very happy about that. And I'm currently on a spiritual retreat of my own making. I'm here in southern France for 3 months, and I thought I was coming here to do some pretty esoteric work, looking into death, do we need to die, longevity, youthing, different things like that, and other funky things like ascension, discorporating the body and taking it with us when we do die. I was like, great, I can do that. That sounds fun. And I got here, and I got really this horrible cold, and it just sapped all my energy, and so I ended up, it just slowed everything down, and I just stayed in my sheet in my little apartment and I meditated. And what started coming to me is all the stuff I thought I was coming here for. um, Longevity, ascension, all these kind of things. No, that's not actually why I'm here. Why I'm here is awakening, enlightenment. And I was like, okay, we're back to that. We've come full circle. All right, why not? So I really started feeling into that, and meditating on that, and I had this just amazing experience, totally amazing experience of full consciousness of self as source. And so I had the human self, conscious of the human self, of being human, and conscious of also being source. The realization was that instead of them melding together and becoming this blissed out human, totally evolved in that moment, not at all what happened. What happened was the human self stayed at whatever moment, current evolution it was at, and I became conscious of that being contained within source, right? That of what we already know. We already are source. The human is already enveloped in source. It's made of source. It's contained in source, is part of source. And I mean, it makes sense, right? What was happening was I was being more conscious of what's already here. And that consciousness of what's already here didn't change what's already here. So my human self stayed at the same evolution. I was still the same level of happy, unhappy, angry, not angry, all those things, all the human stuff. Nothing changed here. What did change was the consciousness of what else is here, which was beautiful and really disappointing on that level, right? So this was the first realization, that full awareness, full consciousness, of the human self and source does not evolve the human. Now, true, maybe it would over time. I was not able to hold it for more than about 10 minutes. It was such a deep experience, and I'm just not at that level of consciousness yet, or whatever needs to happen. So it's possible that when I have that experience and it's that so deep that it, lasts for the rest of my life, maybe it will change the human experience eventually. I suspect, though, that it doesn't. I suspect that actually what happens is what happened to me, that the human self stays the human self, and because it's what's happening now, I just become aware of what's happening now, that I am deeply source also. And that the knowledge of those two things at once stays with me. But that knowledge doesn't necessarily change the human self. It doesn't evolve the human self. It doesn't make the human self a better person, nicer, kinder, whatever. So from that came 3 other realizations that I want to share with you. Much less mind-blowing for me. And here they are. 1, it helps me understand why people can become awakened in an instant. Like, they don't actually need to do all this personal development work, because the personal development work, yes, it helps you become more conscious, but all you really need to do is have an experience that makes you more conscious, like a trauma, an accident, a really low point in your life. Byron Katie tells this story. You can look up her story, but that's basically what happened to her. She had a super low point. Or Eckhart Tolle, he was suicidal, and that was his awakening experience. Now, I'm not saying they weren't doing work before. I'm just making the point that people wake up when they have moments of intense consciousness. It's not moments of intense personal development, right? So developing the human self is not necessary for this recognition. And that's why people can do it in an instant. And it can be people who are completely unevolved, right? You can be having some accident, your life flashes before your eyes, and you become super conscious of who you are. Voila, you're awakened. I'm not saying it lasts. I'm just saying, this is how it happens. Second realization, this is how we have gurus who have all these crazy human foibles. It's kind of mind, like, what? How can you be awake, like fully awake, fully conscious of who you are as source, and you're a drunkard, or you're a womanizer, or you're cheating on your wife or your husband, or whatever? You're doing all these crazy things that just are not evolved as a human. Well, that's how. Because they wake up as whoever they are, and it doesn't necessarily keep evolving or evolve at all their human self. So if they don't keep working on those things, whatever, they're at the level they're at as a human in their human evolution. Even though they have this, they're still at this level. When you meet them, whatever stories you hear about them, they're operating from their human self with this knowledge, but the human self is still at whatever level it's at. Great. The third thing it helps me understand is how people can be doing so much personal development work, become so conscious of themselves as people, who they are, what they're doing, what they think, what they feel, all this work on personal human evolution, and not wake up. That's weird, right? And it's because just because you're evolving the human self and you're become more and more conscious and awake and aware as a human doesn't necessarily mean you become conscious of yourself as source. This doesn't necessarily happen. Crazy. But it explains why there's so many people doing so much self-development work that never wake up. So it really inspires me to keep doing my personal development work, because this ain't gonna fix it. And it does help me also in this moment realize, yeah, I do want to wake up to source. I do want that full consciousness. I do want to really fully understand this reality and who I am as this, because this is for me the whole truth, and I want to understand all of it. But now I understand I don't need to want that, because I think the human is going to become this like total blissed out happy thing. So it's really helpful. to, to uncouple this, right? And to be this. Because that is the truth, as far as I can tell. I hope that helps, and may that fuel your own desire for whatever you desire. Take care, and see you next time.